This is part 7 of our October series, Death Cars. LaShawn Paris Crooks was born in New York City in 1971 to political activists and Black Panther members. Soon after, he was renamed Tupac Amaru Shakur, named for Tupac Amaru II, descendant of an Incan ruler. Tupac and his mother, Afeni, moved to Baltimore in 1984, where in 10th grade he transferred to the Baltimore School for the Arts. He studied acting, poetry, jazz, and ballet, and performed in Shakespeare plays, and in The Nutcracker as the Mouse King. He also won numerous competitions as the school's best rapper. One of his best friends there was Jada Pinkett, who was the subject of many of his poems as well. He was popular, funny, and friendly with all crowds. He loved music of all kinds, including Kate Bush, Sinead O'Connor, and U2. So how did this promising young man end up dead at 25? That's a bit of a story, so sit tight. He lived in a rough area in Baltimore, so in 1988, he moved out to Marin City, California, which was an impoverished city near San Francisco Bay. He attended high school and continued theater, but he did not graduate. He did, however, get his GED. He began to rap under the stage name MC New York in 1989, and also took poetry classes under Layla Steinberg, who would become his manager. Steinberg would later recall that Tupac was, quote, a young man with fan-like eyelashes, overflowing charisma, and the most infectious laugh. After performing a concert with his rap group Strictly Dope, Steinberg got Tupac signed by Atron Gregory, manager of the rap group Digital Underground. In 1990, Gregory placed him with the group as a roadie and a backup dancer. In January 1991, Shakur debuted under the stage name Tupac on Digital Underground under a new record label, Interscope Records. The group's January 91 single, Same Song, was featured on the soundtrack of the 1991 film Nothing But Trouble, starring Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Chevy Chase, and Demi Moore. This was his big break. With his debut album, Tupacalypse Now in 1991, he became dominant in West Coast hip-hop for his conscious rap lyrics. Some prominent rappers like Nas, Eminem, Game, and Talib Kweli cite him as an inspiration. Not everyone appreciated his blunt and honest lyrics. Quote, "There's no reason for a record like this to be released. It has no place in our society," criticized Dan Quayle, the vice president at the time. Tupac explained in part, quote, "I just wanted to rap about things that affected young black males. When I said that, I didn't know that I was going to tie myself down to just take all the blunts and hits for all the young black males, to be the media's kicking post for young black males." Tupac often complained that he was misunderstood. "Everything in life is not all beautiful," he told journalist Chuck Phillips. "There's lots of killing and drugs. To me, the perfect album talks about the hard stuff and the fun and caring stuff. The thing that bothers me is that it seems like a lot of the sensitive stuff I write about just goes unnoticed." Tupac appeared in many featured films: Nothing But Trouble, Juice, Poetic Justice, Above the Rim, Bullet, Gridlocked, and Gang Related, the last 3 being released posthumously. He also became close friends with celebrities including Mike Tyson, Chuck D, Jim Carrey, and Jasmine Guy. Mickey Rourke formed a bond with Tupac while filming and stated that Shakur, quote, was there for me during some very hard times. In April 1996, Shakur said that he, Alanis Morissette, Snoop Dogg, and Suge Knight were planning to reopen a restaurant together. In 1993, while visiting Los Angeles, the Notorious B.I.G. asked a local drug dealer to introduce him to Shakur, and they instantly became friends. They even recorded a few songs together. Reportedly, Biggie asked Tupac to manage him, but Tupac referred him to Sean Puffy Combs instead. Yet in the meantime, Biggie hadn't established himself yet, so Tupac asked Biggie to join his side group, Thug Life. Biggie decided to do his own thing in New York, and the relationship went from strained to an eventual West Coast-East Coast rivalry. Legal troubles started for Tupac in 1992. One night in August, he was attacked by a few youths in Marin City. He drew his pistol but dropped it. Someone picked it up, the fired, and a 6-year-old bystander was killed. While Tupac was not charged for this child's death, he was reportedly inconsolable. In October 1993, Tupac shot and wounded 2 white off-duty cops in Atlanta. Those charges were dropped after it was revealed that the policeman had been drinking, initiated the incident, and that one of the officers had threatened Tupac with a stolen gun. Tupac did go to jail for 15 days in 1994 after assaulting the director Alan Hughes, who had fired him from the set of the movie Menace to Society for being disruptive. In 1995, Shakur served 8 months in prison for SA charges, but was released pending an appeal of the conviction. Case related to an incident that had taken place in Tupac's suite in a New York hotel in November 1993. Tupac maintained that he had not SA'd the girl, although he confessed to the Vibe magazine journalist Kevin Powell that he could have prevented others who were present in the suite at the time from doing so. Quote, "I had a job to protect her," he expressed, "and I never showed up." While in prison, he was visited by Suge Knight, the label head of Death Row Records. Knight offered to post a $1.3 million bail. Tupac needed to be released pending his appeal. The condition was that Tupac signed on to Death Row. Tupac signed, was released, and immediately became heavily involved in the growing East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry. At the same time as he was playing his part as an outlaw for his record label, Tupac was also financing an at-risk youth center, bankrolling South Central sports teams, setting up a telephone helpline for young people with problems, all noted in Robert Sam Anson's Vanity Fair article, published after Tupac's death. In 1994, Tupac was shot 5 times during a robbery in the lobby of a New York recording studio and survived. He blamed Biggie, which Biggie denied, but the relationship had officially gone south. In June 1996, Tupac released a diss track, Hit 'Em Up, which was aimed at Biggie and his label boss, Sean Diddy Combs, increasing tensions further. On September 7, 1996, Tupac Shakur attended Bruce Seldon versus Mike Tyson's boxing match with Marion's Suge Knight at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. After leaving the match, one of the Knights' associates, Trevon Lane, spotted rival gang member Orlando Anderson in the MGM Grand lobby. Earlier that year, in May 1996, Anderson and a group of Southside Crips attempted to rob Lane in a Foot Locker store. Lane told Shakur about the incident, and then Shakur attacked Anderson in the lobby, punching him in the face, knocking him to the ground. Shakur and Knight's entourage assisted in assaulting Anderson. The fight was broken up by hotel security. After the brawl, Shakur returned to his hotel, the Luxor, Las Vegas, to change clothes. Shakur then left with Knight in a 1996 BMW 750iL, a 90s-era 7 Series sports car with a 5.4-liter 12-cylinder engine and a 5-speed automatic transmission. They began their journey to Club 662, which was owned by Knight, to perform at a charity concert. On the way, Shakur and Knight were pulled over on Las Vegas Boulevard by the Las Vegas Police Bike Patrol, playing the car stereo too loudly and for not having license plates. Those license plates were later found in the trunk of the car. They were released a few minutes later without being cited. Then, while they were stopped at a red light at an intersection of East Flamingo Road and Colville Lane in front of the Maxim Hotel, a vehicle occupied by 2 women pulled up on their left side. Shakur spoke through the car window to the 2 women, inviting them to go to Club 662. 5 minutes later, a white 4-door late-model Cadillac pulled up to Knight's right side. The shooter, seated in the back of the Cadillac, rolled down the window and rapidly fired shots at the BMW. Shakur was hit 4 times. Twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh. One of the bullets went into Shakur's right lung. Knight was hit in the head by fragmentation, but he managed to drive on for another mile to get help. Tupac Shakur died 6 days later. Knight recovered. Following his murder, Shakur's friend-turned-rival, the Notorious B.I.G., was at first considered a suspect due to their public feud. But Biggie was also murdered in another drive-by shooting 6 months later in March of '97, while visiting Los Angeles. Neither case has been solved. The BMW is currently for sale for almost $2 million and displayed by Celebrity Cars Las Vegas. It has over 121,000 miles on the odometer, but has been completely restored to the condition it was in before Tupac's death, including a new coat of paint. There is a small indentation where they believe one of the bullet holes were. It apparently runs great. Before Tupac became a rapper, he wrote poetry. Here is one verse he wrote as a teenager that would eventually be published in the 2000 book, The Rose That Grew from Concrete. Quote, "The world moves fast and it would rather pass you by than to stop and see what makes you cry."